The man pretended to be visiting his cousin in prison. When the guards changed shifts, he told his cousin to place both hands on the table. Then he covered his cousin's handcuffs with his own hands. While the guard wasn't paying attention, he used a magician's sleight of hand to switch the handcuffs onto himself in an instant. His cousin couldn't believe his eyes and immediately started to panic. Mark quickly told him to stay calm and act like he was just the visitor. A moment later, Mark called for the guard and said the visit was over. Since the two looked almost like twins and were wearing the exact same clothes, the new guard didn't notice anything unusual and directly escorted handcuffed Mark back to the cell. Mark acted completely natural the whole time. Instead, it was his cousin who walked out of the prison in total disbelief. Now it was time for Mark to prepare for his escape. He kept observing everything inside the prison, looking for a way out. When he passed by the basketball court, he came up with a fast way to escape. He pretended to play basketball with the other inmates, and while coming down from a dunk, he secretly snatched the basketball net. Mark moved so fast that no one even noticed whether the hoop still had a net on it or not, and that net was the key prop in his escape plan. Next, he used 2 packs of cigarettes to get information from another inmate. After learning the details about the gang leader, Mark deliberately approached him during yard time the next day. Then he started provoking and insulting him on purpose. As expected, he successfully pissed the gang boss off. The bodyguard beside him immediately stepped in and attacked Mark repeatedly with a sharpened toothbrush handle, injuring him. That gave Mark the perfect excuse to be sent to the infirmary. Late that night, when no one was around, Mark quietly got out of bed. The whole reason he wanted to get into the infirmary was to steal this medicine. With that drug, he could finally move on to the next step of his plan. Not long after, the doctor came in to check on him. She was horrified by what she saw. Mark had apparently hanged himself in the room. She rushed over to save him, only to find that he had already stopped breathing. The guards concluded that Mark had killed himself out of guilt, so they zipped his body into a bag and prepared to transport it away by car. But Mark wasn't dead. It was all part of his plan. After taking the drug, Mark's body entered a fake death state, and just before the medicine fully kicked in, he tied the basketball net around himself to hold part of his weight, so the rope wouldn't fully tighten around his neck. Then he staged the hanging to cover up the fake death caused by the drug. By the time the car was halfway down the road, the effect of the drug had just worn off. Mark woke up, quickly climbed out of the body bag, and while the driver in front wasn't paying attention, he quietly slipped out of the vehicle and successfully escaped from prison.